Hey, everybody, and welcome back to a special episode of the Riverside Church Podcast, where our mission is to equip you to live out the gospel in everyday life. Today, we are here with two awesome, very special ladies who are special to me personally, special to our church, special to everybody who knows them. Kathy Kolinsky Lefler and Lori Helvey. And they are part of a ministry we have here at Riverside, which is one of the, I think, most awesome ministries that we have, and it's called the Chuck's Kids Project, or really just Chuck's Kids. We used to call it the Chuck's Kids Christmas Project, but we've kind of expanded a little bit beyond just kids, and we've also expanded a little bit beyond Christmas, or at least talked about expanding beyond Christmas. And so anyway, what we want to do today is talk about what Chuck's Kids is, what it does, how we serve our community. This is one way for us to get outside the four walls of the church and be the light of Jesus Christ to the world, especially to kids and families who are hurting at this time of the year. You know, all of us know the economy has been tough. The inflation has been high. It's been hard for families to afford groceries. It's hard for families to afford things that their kids need. And especially at Christmas time, it's really hard for a lot of families. So we are able to step in and fill the gap and help families, especially at Christmas time. And so I'm going to try to let these ladies do most of the talking today because they know what it's all about. So, Kathy, I'm going to start with you. Just tell us a little bit about how Chuck's Kids got started and what the heart was behind it.
Okay. About 17 years ago, our grandson, CJ, he started kindergarten at G.W. Carver, and Chuck was like a fixture there. He wanted to stay there with him all day, but they wouldn't let him. So
Now tell us who Chuck was for the people who maybe don't
Chuck
know.
was my late husband. And in fact, I have a picture. These are the two that actually started this. That's CJ when he was little and his papa. So Chuck was there all the time, and the kids would read to him out in the hall, and he just eventually learned that there was a need in that school for some help. So he got with his teacher, and he got a list of names. And I would come home from work, and he would be on the computer, and he would find everything they needed. It was just important that they had everything on that list. And so as the years went by, Lori got involved with East Salem with her daughter, Katie, that was going there. And eventually we just added more and more of the schools. So we have all four of the Salem elementary schools now. And we also do Glenver Elementary. And when Beth came here to the church and she started teaching, we added the Roanoke City School that she teaches at, which was really, really cool. And we also, last year, for the first time, worked with the Roanoke Rescue Mission and helped the children there as well. We also provide for one nursing home, and they're for the patients or the people that live there that don't have any family. So we provide a few items for them that's on their wish list as well.
Good. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how Chuck's Kids gets funded, because it's not really a budget item in the church. So it's a separate ministry that's kind of under our church. But most of the funding, or really all the funding for Chuck's Kids, comes from church folks who give during the year. Just tell us a little bit about some of the funding streams that we have.
Well, like you said, Pastor Brian, it's from the hearts of our church family. You know, me and Kathy, we get the kids list, but we stand up, and thankfully Seth and you said we can do this. For our new church family that don't know what we're talking about, we reach out to them. But one of our biggest, family in this community is the Mopar Club of the Roanoke Valley. Randy Holloway was one of them that put us onto them and put our name out there, and they started having fundraisers and their car shows, and they know us there, and they're a big fundraiser, and they're just wonderful people to deal with, and they love the Lord, and they love our ministry, and they know what we do with the kids and the people in this area.
And they fund us quite significantly.
Yes,
every
they
year,
sure
right?
do. Yes, sir, they sure do. And we are so thankful for them.
Yeah, and they open up, I guess, to us to come and do bake sales and stuff at some of their events.
At their Salem Civic Center each year, we have a bake sale there, and they allow us to come and sell our baked goods, and all proceeds from their shows, a little part of that goes to them, to us, for Chuck's ministry.
Yeah. Do you know about how much money we raise, or the Mopar contributes every year?
This year, he brought a check by. It was $2,250 he brought by, and it's just,
Wow.
what a blessing.
Yeah.
They said God blessed them early, and he wanted to bless us early. So
Good.
so thankful, and it's just a blessing to them.
Good. And we also have, as a funding stream on our website, as people give, they can choose Chuck's Kids as one of the categories that they give to. And there are folks in our church who give all year to, I don't know how much comes in every year, but it's usually a pretty significant amount. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, like you said, we also announce in church, you'll hear usually Lori with tears giving an appeal on a Sunday morning to ask families if they'll adopt a kid or kids. Sometimes we'll get a family that's multiple kids, all ages, and we'll ask families to take those kids. And how much would you say on average we spend per kid each year?
Well, when I was blessed many years ago, we've known Kathy and Chuck, Jim and I has, for their family to us, and he came to me and he said, "You want to help me with something?" And I said, "Sure." And it's been the most blessing to help. And like Kathy said, you shop like you're shopping for your own kids, and just, I tell people, we give you the list, just pray first and let God lead your heart. These lists that we get are not hard lists. They're not expensive lists. Some of the lists we've had in the past has been bedding, sheets, toothbrushes. We have healthy grandkids. We have healthy kids, and they don't have to worry about a bed to sleep in or a toothbrush. So it's just a simple list. So we help. I don't have many. We usually start off small, ask each school for 5 kids. And then God just blesses us, and we just get more kids each year. And we have had up to over 100 we've helped.
Mm-hmm. Which for our size church is pretty amazing.
There's no words. I tell Kathy each year, we pray about it. And when we pray, God hears. And we always worry, sure. We always think starting off small. I always feel bad starting off small. But then it multiplies. And our church family and our community always helps. It's just a blessing. I would love to be able to go when some of the counselors go to their houses and take the kids their gifts. I would love to go and just see the eyes. But our ladies' circle, we serve at the rescue mission, and I see the kids' eyes when I serve them food down there, how appreciated they are when they come through the line just to say thank you. So I kind of get a little glimpse of the feeling of the happiness and the joy they have on Christmas morning when their gifts are there.
Yeah, I'm glad you said something about the list being simple. People have asked me over the years, why don't we just get involved with other ministries that already have things like this for kids? And one of the reasons why Chuck started Chuck's Kids is because he could work directly with principals or counselors in the schools in the Salem and Roanoke County, Roanoke City area who know what the kids' needs are, and they're getting lists together that it's not Xboxes or PlayStations, it's things that that are must-haves: coats, hats, blankets,
shoes,
simple toys.
Yes, simple things.
And so we're able to go in and fill that gap and meet a need where there's really, really a dire need for whether it's clothes or whatever the case may be. One of the things Chuck was always fond of saying too is, he would often say that it wasn't for us to judge whether the need was what the need was. He said, Chuck, if you knew Chuck, you know how Chuck talked. Chuck would always say, "I don't care about the adults. I care about the kids."
Yes.
And he said, it doesn't matter what the reason is that caused the need that the kids have. we're going to meet the kids' needs
Exactly.
regardless of what the other situation is. And I always appreciated that about Chuck. So also, I think something that would be good to talk about is, let's say we have a family in the church that they really want to shop for kids, but they can't afford to adopt. Maybe you have a family of 2 kids or 3 kids, and they would love to shop, but they can't afford it. Maybe they already have kids, and shop, spending money on top of what they're already spending for their kids for Christmas is really difficult. Through Chuck's Kids, because we have so much money coming in, we also can say, hey, you can shop and turn in receipts and get reimbursed, right?
Yes.
Talk about how that happens a little bit. What would happen if somebody wanted to shop? But they can't afford it? How would they approach you about that?
Well, they could come and ask for a name
Right.
or 2
Yes.
names, and we try to have a limit on the amount. And
Yes.
in this day and age, it's hard to
Very
do.
hard.
But I mean, it's somewhere between like 120 or so
To 150, yeah.
for a kid.
yeah.
I mean, now it is probably
It's
more
probably
like
more.
150.
And one thing we do too is with siblings,
Mm-hmm.
we try to. This might sound odd, but we try to make sure they have the same amount of packages.
Sure.
You know, and it's harder as the kids are older, and we do get some 15, 16-year-olds from a family. So, but you've said over the years, you and Beth always takes Hannah and Michael when they were little and gave them the list, and the joy that you've seen out of them shopping.
Yeah, it's
Just to
great
watch
for
them.
families to let your kids shop,
yes.
because your kids it's helping your kids think beyond what they want,
Yes.
what their needs
Yes.
are, and they're thinking about the needs of others.
Yes. I know Katie and Justin, Gracie and John Luke shop, and they just let them pick out things because they try to pick the same ages as their kids are, and just let them pick out something for that. And it teaches good in the little kids' hearts.
CJ, he shops, him and Stacy. They'll go out, and they always have a name for Chuck, and they'll go out and he'll help. They usually get a boy, and CJ has a blast running through there trying to find stuff he remembers that he loved to play with when he was that age.
Yep.
I always tell Kathy, I hate the clothes. I buy the toys.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, but there's clothes on here.
Yeah.
Yes, if a church family wants to adopt, if they want to shop, let us know. We haven't We'll be getting a list pretty soon, I feel.
Good. So about when typically does Chuck's Kids start, and when do we try to be completed?
Well, I've got names now.
Yes. Kathy's got names now.
it
I haven't heard back from mine yet from East Salem, or they usually send. Well, in the past, I don't know how your counselor does, but over at South Salem, they sent out these. They used to call them angel kids lists, and I don't know what they call them now, but they sent them out to the kids in their schools, and then the families adopt, and then the ones that well, I don't want to say not adopted, or I guess just not
Ones
picked.
that have a need, where
Right,
there's a
once
need.
they have the need, we'll get some of their list. And the counselors are so hard at work. I mean, they do so much. Your wife, sweet wife, when I texted her today, she said they're working on it.
Yeah.
So we're hoping. Mandy Dallas knows that our church shops for Black Friday, and I told her that Black Friday's ads are coming out now, so she knows. So hopefully, I would say in a week, I hope.
And my gifts usually need to be turned in by like the 10th of December
Yes.
or so,
Yeah.
so that they could be distributed.
Yeah. Good. So if somebody wants to get involved, they can talk to you right now, right?
Yes,
Find
sir.
you on a
Yes,
Sunday
sir.
morning.
Yes. Yep.
Say, hey, typically Lori's in the early service,
Yes,
Kathy's in
Kathy's
the
in the
second service.
right.
So between the two of them, you can catch them at one service or the other. Typically, you'll see them out in the commons area, and with a list, just waiting for somebody to walk up to them and say, hey, I'd love to adopt a kid or two for Chuck's Kids. But if I would just stress, if someone really wants to shop for a kid but they can't afford it, don't let that be
No,
a
don't let-
hindrance for
no.
you, because we do have funds available to reimburse you. And don't feel ashamed if you need to be reimbursed
Right.
for shopping for a
Yes.
kid, because that's the reason why we raise money all year.
Yes.
We want people to participate in the blessing of shopping, whether they can afford to spend their own money to do it or not. If you can't spend your own money and you want to do that, that's great, but we do have funds available
Yes.
to reimburse.
Yes.
Now, in addition to Chuck's Kids, we've expanded a little bit the last couple of years. We also have helped out a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that a little bit, kind of what that need was and how we kind of got on board with that.
Before Sweet Jim's mom passed away, she was at Brookdale Nursing Home. And she would tell me that there was a need of some of the ones that didn't have family there. They got cold. They sat in the wheelchairs. They got cold sitting out there in their little family area. So I was at Walmart, and I seen these $5 throws. So I text Kathy. I said, what do you think? Can we get 100 of them? And so we did. And we took them to the nursing homes. Mm-hmm. And that's just been a blessing. And in the past, Sweet Harry and Dendra Edgell, they buy tons of throws, and we share. We share with the families of the kids, and we share with the nursing homes.
Yeah. Was it Carrington Place last year? I think.
Yes, Carrington Place. Remember? That's exactly
gave us
right.
a list
Yes.
of, I think, 17 or 18 of their seniors that don't have family, and they were asking for sweaters and
shirts,
socks and
yeah.
shirts
And a nightgown, just basic, and a book, I think. Yeah, just basic
Lotion,
stuff. Lotion and stuff.
Yeah, things
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, because it's not just kids who have a need. A lot of times senior adults who are in senior living facilities, they're there and Medicare is paying for them to be there, and they don't have any spending money for them to get extra stuff. It's really if people help them or not. So that's a great way. There's one other way that we help, and it's gift cards. Let's talk about that as well.
Well,
Go ahead.
the gift cards is we help with our church family. We and outside our community, we do a Kroger's and a Walmart gift card. And that's for groceries and stuff, and it's just wonderful. I mean, my brother he gets one, and he cries. I mean, it's just the little stuff that matters that they they're remembered and that we love them, and that's being the hands and feet of Jesus and Jesus' light in this world.
Yeah, and it's just identifying needs,
Right.
keeping our eyes open to where there are needs,
Right.
even in our own congregation.
Exactly.
And but also outside the congregation, and trying to be open to help. I get to, one of the things I get to do with Chuck's Kids every year is I get to deliver some of the gift cards, and one of the things I love about it is, we don't always, even with Chuck's Kids, most of the kids that get those gifts have no idea they're coming from a church, because we wrap them and we send them, and the schools distribute them. And so whether, our name ever gets mentioned or not, but that doesn't really matter to us, because what we want to be is the hands and feet of Jesus. And that's not always seeking your own, glory through it. But I know last year, a couple of the gift cards we distributed, I just put in an envelope and just put anonymously from a friend and stuck it in a mailbox for somebody that we knew that there was a need for. One in particular was a mom whose son is in the military, and there was a financial need there, and they were wanting him to come home for Christmas, but he couldn't afford to fly. And so we were able to help out and connect with a couple of other families that wanted to help out, and were able to supply the funds for him to get to fly home for Christmas to be with his family. So, little things we get to do, and Chuck's Kids is a part of that every year. Okay, so we're recording this. Today's November 8th, and so we're starting Chuck's Kids right now. So this will probably drop around the 12th or so. And so if you're watching this, around the middle of November, just know Chuck's Kids is in full swing. And if you want to get involved with this in some way, if you want to give, if you can't shop, if you're really busy, your work schedule's hard, but you want to help kids get gifts, you can give. You can designate through Riverside. You can designate for Chuck's Kids. Whatever comes in for Chuck's Kids, we flow through to the Chuck's Kids ministry, or you can give directly. If you're not worried about the, I guess you guys can actually give a tax receipt, because it's part of the church, or at least make us give us a list, and we can get them out. But if you want to get guaranteed you get the tax receipt for it, you can give through the church, and then we flow through. But you can also give directly to the Chuck's Kids ministry, because they have their own account and everything. So. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about?
I just really want to thank our church so much. They have been so faithful to this ministry, and it's so dear to my heart. Chuck just loved the kids, and he loved everyone at this church, and they've all been so willing to step up and help, and it's been amazing. And after he passed away in 2016, this is the way I honor his memory, and I just want to keep it going, and I'll do whatever I need to do to help that.
Good.
Yeah, so I'll second that. When Chuck asked me to help many, many years ago, it's just I feel honored. Like I told Kathy, I said, this is hers. I feel honored. We love our kids. Our church family is wonderful, and there's just no words for our church famally.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without Lori.
We sure no.
I could not.
We're a team.
I
We love our
call
kids.
her, and I'm all panicked, and it always works out.
It always does.
Every Christmas it works out.
Yes.
And I know that's God's plan, and it works out.
And if you've got a grandchild, if you've got small kids, I'll challenge you, take a list and give it to them, or just let them say, hey, let's shop for this child. You'll get the blessing. I promise you will, because I've gotten the blessing when Gracie and John Luke shops. I see it. So, there's a need in our community, in our schools. There's a real need. And thank you all for helping out and making their Christmas just a little special each year through Chuck's ministry.
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't realize that, living in those of us who live in Salem, living in the community we live in is a nice community, a lot of nice houses, but we don't always realize that there are some families in desperate need. They might live in a nice house, but their mortgage is so high, they're struggling to pay all their other bills, or they don't live in a nice house, or some of our, especially more inner city folks in Beth School and that surrounding area where there's a lot of poverty and a lot of need. And, Roanoke City has a really high homeless population. And I know one year there were as many as 300 kids in Roanoke City who were classified as homeless.
Yes.
And so there's a great need to
Yes.
help and be the hands and feet of Jesus to the kids in our community.
And if you know a teacher or you see Sweet Beth on Sunday morning, give her a hug and thank her, because they do so much more for their kids out of their own pockets.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, thanks for tuning in with us. We hope that you'll get involved with Chuck's kids this year and help in whatever way you can. And Lord willing, we'll reach that goal of over 100 kids that we like to help every year. I believe we will, and looking forward to hearing all the good reports and seeing all of our church get involved again like they always do. Well, I hope you have a great day and a great week. And by the way, if you've been wondering where the Riverside Podcast is, we are working on some new content, and hopefully we'll drop some new episodes here real soon. So keep tuned in. We'll see you soon.